All right, welcome everybody. Great to have you with us. Hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. And yes, our Harbor Fields Tornadoes had a great game on Saturday, so it was a very good weekend. And it's nice to see your kid with an ear-to-ear grin. There's no doubt about that. Anyway, let's get into it. We got word yesterday, and again, I'm not. Gets the wrong way. I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer or anything like that. I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled that the Ukrainians are pushing back against Russia, and they had a massive counteroffensive. Some are calling it again. You get people it can get out of hand, I guess, to some degree. But I guess there might be a point. Say it's the greatest counteroffensive since World War II. Many of the Russian soldiers dropping their guns and running, and they're saying there's been a trove of intelligence maps left behind, could spot weaknesses, not to mention the artillery that's being left behind that Ukraine has been able to grab. With that being said, now what? How do you go about exploiting these gains that you've made? I don't know. I don't know. And again, you're dealing with this situation. We've talked about it here on the program. It is like walking on eggshells. Had an interview today on a program, and they were talking about how maybe some of the inner circle, Vladimir Putin pushing back and pushing him out. And I said, well, be careful. Be careful what you wish for. Who's going to replace him? Will the individual replacing Vladimir Putin, let's say, something happens to him. Something happens to him. He gets sick. There's latest thing they're showing his leg was shaking when he was standing. Who's next in line? And could that person be worth? So again, you have to take these things into consideration. Not to mention the fact that, again, this is a country that has horrible, horrible weapons that can do an enormous amount of damage. Not to mention, the possibility of starting to go after some more of the civilian areas. They've done it to some degree. Let's hope and pray that it doesn't get worse. Again, a resolution to this would be, it would be great. I mean, we can't say that enough. Right now, Europe's a mess. Europe's a mess. We've been talking about this at length. They haven't been able to make, we can't get enough liquefied natural gas over there to make it. I mean, it'll help, but they're going to have major, major issues. All these countries are talking about various different bailouts, transfer payments, whatever it may be, to help people out. Others are saying, well, if you don't do that, then people are not going to be conserving enough. And then it takes away market forces. Of course, it takes away market forces. That's what it does. And every single time you get the government subsidizing, getting involved in the free market, there is going to be an unintended consequence. The easiest thing in the entire world is to say, bailout. But we don't think about everything else that's going to follow when it comes to that. Again, we're going to hope and pray that there can be some sort of resolution. Various different publications I'm reading saying that this thing is going to drag on at least into 2023. And again, I don't know if Russia's holding out because, again, they do hold quite the hand, despite the setbacks they have right now, due to their position in regards to the rest of Europe when it comes to energy. Vladimir Putin is meeting with Xi Jinping, I think it's this week, if I'm not mistaken, in Kazakhstan, and we're going to see what happens there as well. Anyway, let's get into some of the economic stories. Inflation. A lot of inflation numbers this week. A lot riding on these numbers and how they're going to be interpreted by the chattering classes. How are they going to interpret these numbers? People, you know how to interpret the numbers. You pay your bills. You don't need anybody on TV telling you what to think about these inflation numbers. You know what you're paying. You know what it costs at the grocery store. You know, oh yeah, okay, gasoline prices are coming down. They are. But I still paid $4.50 a gallon. They ain't that far down. Okay, all of these input costs. So you don't let the chattering classes tell like last month, oh, things are awesome. Yeah, okay. Again, I get it. The cure for higher prices is higher prices. You're going to have certain things starting to come down in price. I get that. But have you seen that? Anybody had any break at all when it comes to their food costs? Here's history. U.S. consumer price inflation showed signs of moderating in August for the second straight month. Though the decrease was uneven across sectors, and it remains unclear whether the slowdown will continue. Food prices continued to soar, and prices for a range of goods and services remain much higher than a year earlier. Again, important shit being really expensive. You could take everything else. You can take a lot of this crap and you can put it aside. I know they're talking about airline prices are coming down and hotel prices are coming down. Rental car prices are coming down. But guess what? These are not necessities in life, are they? They're not. And I get it's part of the whole economic ecosystem. I get that. But the most important numbers and prices are the things that people need to survive on and use every single day. And we're not getting any relief there. Wall Street analysts estimate the Labor Department's overall consumer price index was unchanged or dropped in August from July. So it marked the second straight month of slower inflation since annual inflation surged to a 4-decade high in June. Okay. Again, if let's say if it does go down, you're going to start seeing various different powers that be and politicians high-fiving one another. That's akin to somebody doing a home run trot, watching the ball go over the plate, high-fiving, jumping up and down after they hit a one-run home run in the ninth inning while they're losing the game 15-0. Now it's 15-1. End zone dancing when you're getting your ass kicked doesn't impress me by any stretch of the imagination. We have a long way to go. And quite frankly, if you got the government out of the way, eased up on regulations, made things easier, guess what? Guess what? You deal with some of these supply issues. We do have something that could really throw everything, a real monkey wrench into everything when it comes to supply chains, is the railroad unions are set to go on strike this Friday. We've already got various different backups in certain places in the country when it comes to rail, Fort Worth, Texas being one of those. But you're talking about a railroad strike. You're talking tens of thousands of workers, unless Congress steps in. You're going to see prices go through the roof. This is how commodities get from point A to point B here in this country. What's the president going to do? I mean, we had this 2-month cooling off period that they put in place that ends this Friday. Better come up with something. I got a sinking suspicion. Remember Reagan with the air traffic controllers? Biden's not going to do that with unions. But you want to talk about a political disaster? You're going to see costs skyrocket if this is the case. Americans spent more on taxes in 2021 than on food, clothing, and healthcare combined. That seems fair, right? Again, present this to your, friendly neighborhood leftists if you can find one, because you're really not many friendly neighborhood leftists, not that many friendly leftists. They tend to be pretty angry in my humble opinion, just from the type of vitriol that I got sent at me all the time. Yeah, they remind me of, those dinosaurs from Jurassic Park that like spit the poison. Remember those things? They'll flip off the side. It was like and spit the poison at you. You got the first one. It got Newman from Seinfeld. You remember? Anyway, yeah, spewing out poison all the time. Anyway, hey, listen, equal opportunity here. Okay, yeah, you get them on the far right as well. Just been in my experience. It's just anyway. So anyway, you want to find, if you have a friendly neighborhood leftist, ask them, have a conversation with them. This is obviously someone that can act in a reasonable, Socratic manner. What they think about the fact that Americans spent more on taxes than on food, clothing, and healthcare combined. And those are things that have gone up in price. Yeah. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics Consumer Expenditure Survey, American consumer units spent an average of $15,495 on food, clothing, and healthcare combined, while paying an average of $16,739 in taxes to state and local governments. A consumer unit comprises either all members of a particular household who are related by blood, marriage, adopted, or legal arrangements. These numbers. I'm trying to put them in perspective in my household. They got to do a consumer unit when you're dealing with teenagers and how much they eat. Anyway, Washington Post says that the American people are feeling better. They're feeling better. Americans are learning to deal with higher prices and are less worried about the economy. Getting used to inflation and learning to deal with it. Yeah, but that kind of runs contrary to the various different polls that are out there. This is what they say. Said, after months of gloom, Americans are finally starting to feel better about the economy and more resigned to inflation. Let me ask you a question. When Kevin Bacon and Animal House bent over when Niedermeyer said, assume the position. Whack. Thank you, sir. May I have another? Whack. Thank you, sir. May I have another? I'm sure, again, he got, got to deal with it, but do you think he liked it? Do you think the American people yeah, we're human beings. You better be able to adapt. I talk about it all the time. The old concept, it is what it is. Deal with the terrain. I hate all this crap. I hate getting ripped off. I don't even like going to restaurants anymore because I take a look at their menu and I'm like, get the hell out of here. I'm not spending that much. I'm doing that now. I don't know about you. I've never. Now I look. Oh, new place over here. Let me take a look at the menu. Oh, really? Really? Oh, they're going to, tomato and cucumbers, typical, almost like a Greek salad. It's not even a Greek restaurant. Are they going to charge $20 for that? No, I'm not going to go. And I'm sorry, guys. I understand that your costs are higher too, but it's just nuts. It's gotten to the point where it's just patently absurd. But anyway, you think Americans feel better about this? Not to feel better with it. They're just freaking dealing with it. What else are they supposed to do? You can sit around, you can bitch and complain all you want. It's not going to do a damn thing. You have to deal with the terrain. Elections have consequences. We put people into power. We sent people to Washington, D.C. We did COVID lockdowns. We printed all this freaking money. Everybody wanted a stimulus check. How to have child tax credit this. How to shut this down. How to deal with all the supply chain issues. I go on and on down the list here, people. There's a myriad of reasons why this is going on. And guess what? To all you people, it's not just Joe Biden's fault. Okay? It's not. Anyway, U.S. household net worth crashed by most ever in the second quarter. Again, stocks coming down second quarter. Home prices starting to come down. I don't even know if that was how much the calculation was with that, but it's just a part of it. I mean, it also kind of shows where how far net worth has come. Sometimes these headlines are a bit misleading. Nothing goes up in a straight line. Nothing goes. The only thing that did for an extended period of time, for the most part, it used to be real estate would be kind of steady. But now we have these, the way that we finance things and subsidize and a myriad of other issues, you get these, massive jumps. And you also get, disconnects. Again, the real estate market in the entire country is massive. It's a big country. Real estate in one area is, you can have the same house somewhere else and it's a couple $1 million less. That's the reality, again, of the terrain, where you live, jobs, taxes, schools, all sorts of stuff. All plays a part. But anyway, you're taking a look at household net worth. It has to do with 401k. It's having to do with real estate to some degree. But again, that is a very volatile number. Okay. The Congressional Budget Office, again, it was the line that they were given all of the spokespeople. They have their little talking points that they're given, was that student loans are paid for with deficit reduction. And we made fun of that here on the program before the Congressional Budget Office decided to chime in and said, wait a second, you guys are out of your mind. The idea that a trillion, who knows what it's going to be. Some are estimating it's going to be as high as over $1 trillion. And I believe that's the case. This is just the beginning. It's just the beginning. It's just going to get bigger. In the same way, this is how, again, honestly, you got to be people, leftists in this country, the donkeys are, when it comes to tactics and getting things done, they are a lot better than the elephants. They are. Think about the programs that they have pushed for, that they got started going back. We go back to FDR stuff. We can go to LBJ's Great Society stuff. Has anything been cut? Has anything been changed? Has anything been fixed or reduced, or is it we just throw more money at every one of these programs? Go back, Obamacare. What do you think Obama and they knew at that point in time, again, they knew that they were in a unique position and a huge, part in history where basically the guy's just not going to get criticized at all. And I remember some of the stupid criticism that the right was coming up with. They're going to find his birth certificate. Oh, Jesus, please. Would you fight on issues and substance, please? But anyway, take that and put that aside. He gets Obamacare through. Their goal is to eventually nationalize the entire thing. And they're well on their way. They told you that your healthcare costs were going to drop, which was a complete and utter lie. My costs continue to skyrocket. My rates every single year continue to go through the roof. Again, for certain people here in this country, a large swath of people, you know what? That you're not paying, or you're getting subsidized. And there's people like me, and there's many others, millions of others here in this country that are paying your way. And that's the direction they want to go. And you don't think the same thing is going to happen once they start this thing with student loan? And again, this is an order. There's got to be a lawsuit at some point in time. Once this thing gets started, once it gets rolling, it will never end. You get me? Never. This is interesting. I was still looking. We talk about this all the time. It's like the whole COVID situation and the death toll and what it did to this country, but also where did everybody go? The fact that, it's so hard still to find workers. And there was a story talking about how at least 500,000 workers here in the United States are out of the labor force because of COVID, fear of COVID getting back in. Um, Listen, I think one of the things that we failed, and I know I've talked about this before here on the program, we really failed as a country to really, take advantage. It's an old day. Was it Rahm Emanuel said it was Obama's chief of staff? Never let a crisis go to waste. Well, the whole COVID thing was a great opportunity to really talk about our nation's, get a grip around our nation's health and just how bad it is. And the obesity problem we have here in this country, diabetes, all of these things. We have very, very unhealthy lifestyle here in this country, and it needs to change. And this would, in my opinion, would have been a great opportunity to do that. But again, why did it not happen? Because, again, fear. It's not politically correct. We've now got this, I'm sorry, it's absolutely ridiculous, this whole body positive movement here in this country where, you're trying to tell people that it's okay to be overweight. We're going to start telling people, well, yeah, it's okay to be, an alcoholic. Is it okay to, take too many drugs? I mean, is it okay? There's a myriad of things I can come up, gamble too much, whatever it may be. No, it's not healthy. We shouldn't be celebrating something that is not healthy. It's not okay. It's not good to make fun of people, tear them down. But no, people should be encouraging. It shouldn't be acceptable now. That's just lazy. It is. I was laughing. I know. It's terribly unpolitically correct here, but again, it's my opinion. We're at the Athens airport this past summer, and I have a bunch of D1 lacrosse players that were there and athletes, guys. And there's a Victoria's Secret shop in Athens airport. And I go, guys, look there. Look at, they had all the, how the Victoria's Secret had all the models out front. And again, you look at the difference. The models there are still in shape like they used to be. You see a Victoria's Secret here, and now you've got models that are overweight in pictures. I'm sorry, but some of these people, they got to take care of themselves to get themselves in a certain position to become this. And now you're saying that no, you can just let yourself go and also be a model too. I don't get it. Sorry, I don't get it. Could be me, call me crazy. Again, everybody's yelling, screaming about this. This is business as usual. Governor Kathy Hochul here in New York had us pay twice as much for COVID tests from a company tied to nearly $300,000 in donations. Yeah, this was the whole COVID thing. Where they got rid of restrictions in regards to getting multiple bids. That was great for politicians. That was great. Then they could just go to their buddies and say, hey, listen, just cut me a nice check. You don't even have to bid on this contract. You can charge us, more for this because you know what? We don't have to put it out to bid. Because it's all an effort. Got to get it done as soon as possible. Freaking break. Oh, it's so hard. It takes a really long time to make 5 phone calls from the different companies and get 5 different bids on COVID tests. You can't. How long does that take? A half an hour? Oh, no, sure, we can't have it. Just too much. I got this stuff out the door. I can't have the whole procurement process. Shut up. Okay? Again, this is part of the conspiracy to keep people poor and stupid. This was just an opportunity for politicians to give contracts to their best buddies who got to overcharge the taxpayer. Again, it's not just the New York taxpayer. This is federal funds that were coming in. USA. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. Have a good one.